Hello and welcome again if you've been to Proverb Minutes before. Today we're going to get into some of the details of what pricks at our hearts. Those things that should always be unacceptable among the decent that would want to get to a higher plane of loving, living, and trusting with the families that we've been given and the protection of our children. Here, let's look at some of these terrible things that go on in the world. Mark 7:20. And he said, what comes out of a man, that is what defiles a man. For from within, out of the heart of men, proceed evil thoughts, adulteries, fornications, murders, thefts, covetousness, wickedness, deceit, lewdness, and an evil eye, blasphemy, pride, foolishness. All of these things come from within and defile a man. So let's put it into a contemporary term here, bullets. Out of the heart proceed all of these things. Now, I have to point out that these are things that we don't want to be coming out of our hearts. And some of these things, I don't see any of us not being able to have beaten all of them in our lives. Foolishness, despising, contempt for others. How many people are committing adultery? Quite a few, as the statistics show. The deceit is widespread. And covetousness, just general wickedness. Now, I've got another chart here, Matthew 15:19, because in this one is also included false witnesses. And I wanted to point that out, that there are so many false witnesses out there today. And since I've grown on this planet, I've become very familiar with it, even from the early age of a young man. When you tell the truth, and you have a liar that is trying to protect himself or doesn't want to be held accountable for the mistakes that he or she has made, they will lie against you. And I've had this in my early military career with a hypocrite captain and papers that were missing. Also, recruiter fraud. Our country is not so noble that we don't have corruption in our own system. And that's why I came up with the term as in college when I was going to San Francisco State, a decentralized triple fascist business unions and banks, capitalistic socialistic society with a communist military. My professor didn't like that thesis. However, I was probably ahead of my time in defining that we incorporate into our lives, no matter what country you are, various degrees of corruption in all of our organizations and institutions. And to purge those things, no matter what they are, no matter how we define them, it's honesty and integrity and uprightness that we're pursuing as a noble event, as a quality, as a utopian hope. Not that we have achieved it, because look at all these things. These things are in our society. Some of these things are still in us that we're battling. And to overcome these things is the challenge of living now, isn't it? And people do get burned by these things as they onslaught on us at various times in life. When either a person has false identity, they've claimed all kinds of credentials that they haven't earned, and they claim to be people who they are not. My own family member does this to quite an extensive degree. Her qualifications are not what's written because of the falsehood that people play, that exalt themselves to be more important than they are. They don't accept their own self, because I guess looking at yourself in the mirror becomes so ugly if you're heinous and evil and wicked. How can one choose to be happy in that kind of situation? Look at here in Ephesians 4:18, having their understanding darkened, being alienated from the life of God, truth, honesty, transparency, because of the ignorance that is in them. They deny their own self and their actions because of the blindness of their heart. They're either compulsive liars or pathological liars. They don't know the difference. Who being past feeling, they're just in a realm of desperation. And these people are surrounding us. And God help us, help them wake up to this truth of getting past this is a disease, a social disease. The Bible is exposing the medical nature of a healing that has to occur. Having given themselves over to lewdness, their lust, their work, all uncleanness with greediness. To be in the midst of these kind of people, God forbid. And some countries are perhaps better than others. You know, I'm sorry, but in North Korea, the guy that's living in an estate that's how many tens of acres big with the golden interior, eating sushi and feasting himself on the fat of the land, while the people are bones to the death in a mass suicide that's occurring over in that country. And so there are things, and I'm not excusing this country from the heinous acts that have been perpetrated on other countries. We're not so perfect that our shadow has a clean shine to it. But forgiveness is part of this deal. You know, where do we come to forgiveness when, say, Russians, have killed so many Ukrainians and blasted up so much infrastructure and torn out, people's lives? It's hard to find forgiveness. Or the people that in our own country that have been persecuted for decades, if not centuries. And then the animosity that comes up and the lack of a heart, of its ability to forgive. That's the prison of the flesh, brethren, no matter who you are, where you live. If, a bomb goes off and your child dies from a glass shard in his chest, how is it hard? It's hard to get over something like that. It's hard to forgive the people that have perpetrated against us. But it's something that the Bible tells us we must do. We must do to get over being their prisoners. Because if we are completely absorbed in the evil that dominates, then in a sense they've beaten us in the battle. Because they dominate our conscious thoughts. Instead of being sure, sound, convinced in our faith, knowing God will take the vengeance upon these perpetrators, the wicked of the land, we have faith that those burning civilization will find themselves also burned in the end, as the rich man in the book of, I think, Luke 16, when he was in torments in Hades, thirsting because of the flames. That means not having, brethren. When you're absent from God, we get to a condition of not having, because we've been given the Spirit. Right now we have. All of us have. We take for granted that He's been given to us the sense of life and the continuation to associate with other lives. And that's the testing ground that we're in. So let us come back to God. Let's see if we got another click here. Yep, past feeling. We don't want that. Numb hearts. Numb hearts. It's just something that we need to rise past. We need to care about one another. And so many times, look down on the road. Road rage is showing that there's a lot of people that have gone past feeling. So let us not go down that path, brethren. Let us put on hearts of compassion and caring and have sympathy for these people that are so angry. Let them pass by. Let us not become prisoners of their anger. Oh, thanks for coming to Proverb Minutes. Hope that it's helped. Let's get back to our senses and climb back to God and say, thank you, Lord. Thank you for giving me a loving heart. Thank you for letting me find that peace of heart that goes beyond understanding, that frees me from the cords of despair and depression that so many are entrapped in. Thank you. We'll see you on the next ride. Go out, help somebody. We're going to feel better for it, and we're going to lift our society out of this muck hole. And of course, I thank you for having patience with me. We come to another great scripture here in Psalm 64:6. They devise iniquities. We have perfected a shrewd scheme. Both the inward thought and the heart of man are deep. As we're told in Ecclesiastes, of this I've observed. God has made man upright with those qualities that they can be of integrity, honesty, and truth and love. But he is made filled with many schemes. Deepness comes from the loneliness that we all come out of. It creates a deepness. I don't know if you've ever thought about suicide as a young person. Maybe some people are immune to that. But I, for one, have not been. When I was young, I didn't care for the life that had been handed, and many probably don't either. And so we have to overcome those challenges of hating the life that's in front of us. And the deep thoughts, where do they go? Do they go towards those suicidal thoughts, or do they come back to, thank God that you've given me a life that I can love someone else? And by loving others is where we then truly come back to being able to love ourselves. And I know this for a fact. Let us return to that love that we can have for one another by genuinely opening our hearts to be vulnerable, but then to be strengthened. Well, again, thanks. Let's break this down, I think. Oh, yep, we always do. Inward thought are deep. And how many people are conning us? You know, I get phone calls every day. I don't know whether they're from this country or other country or in this country. But everybody wants your number because you've won something, or you're being billed, or your product is being shipped that you haven't even ordered. Deception is the cornerstone of humanity right now. And God, pray, help us to purge these con artists from our society and the presence of our children. No one cares for the con that's going on right now. So let us become those living stones and stand up and say no more to these people that are abroad and in call centers that are targeting the elderly. Shame, shame on the thieves that live in the world. You've turned my Father's house into a den of thieves. Well, I hope this has helped. I hope that I haven't been too boisterous or opinionated, but the truth is the truth. And we need to come back to our true hearts, and that's where we are set free. For the truth will set us free. Thanks for coming to Proverb Minutes. Hope that you come again. Take care of yourself. Go help somebody. Bye-bye for now.